What has happened in 1 year of GDPR so far, and what impact did it have on businesses?
Well, I think it's been a year of learning for most companies. It's a year after all the work they did to bring it into effect. So it's really about putting it into practice, building teams. Certainly for me, it's been about building a team and creating an entirely new function as the DPO inside of Facebook, which has its own challenges and opportunities for us.
What challenges and what opportunities?
So the challenges are really just understanding how the role fits into an organisation. That before the GDPR came into effect, we had plenty of people working on data protection and privacy. Now we have this new function, so we had to create a space for that inside the organisation, and that's inevitably disruptive. The opportunities are that the DPO plays a really unique role in the way companies think about data protection and privacy. And I think the most important role that the DPO plays is really in leading change in the organisation.
What consequences of the GDPR have to be talked about now?
Well, the consequences of not meeting the requirements of the GDPR are obvious. There are fines, and perhaps even more important for companies is the reputational impact for them. It's something that the public is very much aware of. But also, I think the consequences of losing trust with their customers and their stakeholders has become a real test of how trustworthy a company is.
Data privacy and GDPR compliance, what are the challenges there?
Well, I think the challenge for GDPR compliance is about building a system and the types of behaviours amongst staff and processes that ensure that all the different principles of the GDPR can be implemented. Because the GDPR is not simply a list of rules that you can simply check and comply with. It's actually very complex, and it requires a new level of sophistication from people who are applying the rules in actually applying them in practice. And in companies like mine, that's doing that at scale, and that's a big shift. It's an important change in how we operate.
How do you predict the GDPR's development in the future, and what would your advice be maybe as well?
Well, I hope for the development of the GDPR, it really results in a cultural shift in the way companies think about it as a requirement for how they build their businesses, not just as something that's done by a compliance team, but as something that is embraced very deeply in all parts of the organisation. But I also think that regulatory authorities have changes to make in the way they think about their role and how they provide both guidance and support, as well as sanctions and the way they use sanctions to ensure companies meet the requirements of the law.